Our eminent speaker today, Your Excellency, Michael Higgins, President of Ireland, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Governors of the African Development Bank Group, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, Heads of International Missions, Executive Directors of the African Development Bank Group, and several of you are here today. Thanks for coming. Senior management and staff of the African Development Bank Group, and all our guests that are joining us online around the world, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2024 Kofi Annan Eminent Speakers Lecture. This high-level lecture series is a key highlight of the African Development Bank Group. Through this platform, we honor the memory of a great man, the late former United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan. It is also an occasion to acquire new gems of wisdom and to rededicate ourselves to equitable development of our world. I have fond memories of my great mentor, late Kofi Annan. He was an astute and an exceptional leader. He led by example, an admirable man whose wit, wise counsel, and charming personality radiated to all those around him all around the world. His incredible leadership, depth of understanding of international issues, ranging from the place of multilateralism in fostering development to ending conflicts, with humaneness and compassion in tackling conflict and challenges, and supporting African smallholder farmers to anchor the continent's food security remains an unending inspiration for millions of people around the world. It transcends time. As Kofi Annan once said, smallholder farmers are the ones who put food on our tables. They are the ones who care for our land and our water resources. In the end, they will be the ones to propel the economic growth and development of Africa in the 21st century. Of course, I couldn't agree more, having worked with him as his vice president when I was vice president for Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa. Mr. Kofi Annan was also a very good friend of His Excellency President Michael Higgins and his wife, and of course, of the people of Ireland. It is with all this in mind that I am delighted to welcome His Excellency Michael Daniel Higgins, the President of Ireland, as our eminent speaker for the 2024 Kofi Annan Eminent Speakers Lecture Series at the African Development Bank Group. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I also take this opportunity to congratulate President Higgins for being awarded the FAO Agricola Medal of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. Let's give it up to him for that. Now, President Higgins was recognized for his contribution and commitment to the welfare of all people, attaining universal food security and the pursuit of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Dr. Ku Dungju, the Director General of the FAO, said the following while giving him this medal, and I quote, "It is the highest recognition the FAO gives to a head of state who has committed his life, his experience, his achievements, his influence, and his political will and courage to better global agricultural food systems for a better future with an active rather than a passive approach. He has questioned global agricultural policies. He continues asking hard questions about our current farming models and the necessary revisions to the use of subsidies with deep thinking and passion. This prestigious medal is conferred upon international figures who have undertaken outstanding efforts in advancing the cause of global food security, poverty alleviation, and nutrition. President Higgins is the very first Irish recipient of this medal. And given that our lecture focuses on achieving food security through globalization from below, we indeed chose a global icon to speak with us today. By accepting our invitation, President Higgins has yet again reaffirmed his commitment to Africa's development and offered us a unique opportunity to gain from his extensive experience in addressing global challenges. I recall the inspiring words of President Higgins at the Dakar II Summit on food sovereignty and resilience in January of last year, where you came with your very charming and beautiful and extremely kind wife, Mrs. Higgins, where you highlighted the critical challenges and emphasized Ireland's role as Africa's trusted partner in development. Your Excellency, Mr. President, you ended your speech that day with these golden and evergreen words, which I will read back to you. Let's make this century Africa's century, one which will see the continent become free from hunger, a shared continent in a global family, one based on the firm foundations of respect for each nation's own institutions, traditions, experiences, and wisdoms, founded on a recognition of the solidarity that binds us together as humans and an acknowledgement of the responsibility we share for our vulnerable planet and the fundamental dignity of all those who dwell on it. These unforgettable words, as relevant and timely as they are today, as when you first spoke them, strongly influenced the choice of our topic for your lecture today. Indeed, today's lecture is significant. It's a significant occasion, marking President Higgins' continued direct association with us and on matters touching on food security in less than 2 years. His strong support and partnership, despite his eminently demanding schedules, exemplify his great commitment to the African Development Bank Group. And I say thank you very much, Mr. President. Ireland officially joined the African Development Bank Group as its 81st shareholder on April 24, 2020. Prior to this formal partnership, Ireland recognized the bank's vital role in advancing Africa's development goals. Global Ireland, Ireland's strategy for Africa to 2025, prioritizes active engagement with the African Development Bank and other international financial institutions to drive sustainable and inclusive growth across the continent. Ireland's pledge of 32 million euros to the 16th replenishment of the African Development Fund and 6 million euros contribution to the Climate Adaptation African Climate Change Fund and the backing up of our climate action window is a testament to your unwavering commitment to our partnership. And furthermore, in 2021, Ireland contributed $150,000 to support Sudan's arrears clearance. The African Development Bank, Your Excellency, Mr. President, is a reliable and trusted partner, and Ireland is a committed supporter of Africa. Together, we can achieve the vision of the Africa we want by harnessing our joint efforts. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, now on a more personal level, President Higgins is a great friend of Africa. He loves Africa. He started working in Africa 50 years ago. He travels to Kenya, Tanzania, Lesotho. In 1974 and 1975, Mr. President, I was just 14 years old, 15 years old at that time. His family has been working in Africa, and they love Africa. His darling wife, Our Excellency, Mrs. Sabina Mary Higgins, the First Lady of Ireland, actually helped to set up a health clinic in Mekele in Tigray, Ethiopia, some 28 years ago. I think we should give it up to Our Excellency. Their son is living and working in Nairobi, Kenya. And her brother is also a missionary in Africa. You may not believe it, but President Higgins is 83 years old. Now, he told me today when we spoke ahead of this lecture on a phone call, he said to me, "You are a youngster." But then he was so generous to go on to say, "But you are incredibly brilliant, and you are doing such great work." Well, thank you, Mr. President, for those kind words. I just wish that I will be incredibly as smart as you when I'm also 83 years old. President Higgins is incredibly sharp, you will find out, insightful. He has written extensively on sociology and anthropology. And in his words, my thinking is influenced by my training in anthropology. Well, today you will hear a lot from him from that perspective. Now, one last thing I need to say before I turn it over to the president is that he and I share something that's very important. He went to the University of Indiana University in Indiana. And I went to Purdue University, the great Purdue University, which is just one of the competitors with Indiana University. And I was reminding His Excellency, the President, that Big Ten basketball was also a big thing. And Indiana University will come to Mackey Arena at Purdue University, and we will play very tough basketball games. And in one of those games, there was Bobby Knight, who was the basketball coach of Indiana University. And of course, I'm sorry, Mr. President, we defeated you in that basketball game. And Bobby Knight took the chair and he flung it right into the middle of the Mackey Arena. Well, today, Mr. President, we are not in Mackey Arena. We are the African Development Bank. And Indiana University and Purdue University are not playing a basketball game. It's just you and I, two great alumni from Indiana University and Purdue University, going to have a very friendly fireside chat together. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that President Higgins is best placed luminary to guide us through today's lecture titled, Achieving Food Security Through Globalization from Below, Issues for Structural Transformation, Inclusive Economy, and Sustainable Development in Africa. With his matchless experience, scholarly acumen, and practical knowledge on food security, and fresh from his global award, President Michael Higgins, we are delighted to have you speak with us today. Please join me, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in welcoming His Excellency, President Higgins. Mr. President, the stage and lectures are yours. Thank you very much for coming.